How's it going, everybody? The Grand Ralph fan here, and welcome back to another model train review. Now, today's video is going to be a little bit of an experiment because I was very hesitant for a while to make this video because there's already a bunch of different videos already out on YouTube about this locomotive, and this particular locomotive, pretty much anybody, if everybody, has at least heard about it, if not know about it. And the locomotive in question that I'm talking about is this, the Union Pacific Big Boy. More specifically, Broadway Limited's latest Paragon version of it, with Rolling Thunder Paragon 4 sound, a smoke unit. But the reason why I got this one in particular over, say, the Athearn Genesis one is because this model features a sort of smoke feature that has never previously been done on an HO scale model before. It's a standard sort of thing that you'd see on an O scale model, but is not something that you would see on an HO scale model. And what I'm talking about is the smoke effect on the whistle, not just the smokestack. So I also should probably mention that this locomotive is super expensive, which I will get into detail during the unboxing. And this is probably the most expensive locomotive that I have in my collection to date. And I do not have like the budget to be able to afford like super duper expensive locomotives very often. So high expectations, high hopes. Let's get into it. Okie dokie. So before I dive in, I'll just really quickly show you the side of the box right here. Yes, I've got 4014 in its glossy finish and the promontory point excursion appearance. It also has smoke and DCC and Paragon 4 sound. And yes, when I said it's the most expensive locomotive that I've ever bought, this should give you some idea. And the white sticker should give you some idea of the MSRP. So yeah, most expensive locomotive I have ever bought, and I have really high expectations for it for the sake of the video. Now, I should also probably mention that I've had this locomotive for almost a year, and I have run it. So again, like this video is a bit of an experiment, because it does kind of sound fake if I'm unboxing a locomotive that I've already gotten out of the box and ran for almost a year. But speaking of 4014, at the time of this recording, July 11th, 2024, the real Union Pacific 4014 should be pulling into Roseville, California. It's the first whistle stop on its West Coast tour soon, very soon. So, God, this thing's heavy. It never gets old how heavy this sucker is. So, oh, minor camera bump. So this locomotive is completely made out of die cast, so no surprise of how heavy this sucker is, but also because of its weight, expect to pull trains almost as realistic as the real big boy. So, sides come off. Very easy. Silly. Okay. I should also mention, normally inside the box, obviously, there'd be the usual exploded parts diagram and the starter guide, which you would normally get in like a little socket sleeve. However, I don't know where that paperwork went. Moving on. So in the locomotive, you tend to get a couple accessory bags. So we got extra traction tires plus this little wrench that I typically see. I think this is for like if you need to remove a set of drivers. I don't know. And then also we have this extra coupler, bracket, screws. I think that's for the front on the snowplow if we want to attach like another coupler for double heading, I would imagine. And then also, we got this little decal bag. Now, I have seen other videos, so I do know what this is. This is the chalk writing that you would see on Big Boy. So if I want to apply that to my locomotive, I can, which is a really nice option. Okey-doke. Again, really nice glossy finish. Again, this whole entire model is made out of die cast, so this thing weighs, you know, an HO scale ton. The engine and the tender come connected. I don't know how the hoses are connected, if they're like permanently connected or not, but I don't want to mess with those. So grab it by the tender, and I'm assuming grab it by the middle of the locomotive. Yep. It's real slow. I'll just plop it down there for a real sec, and I'll get the other plastic out of the way. Okay. First impressions. Well, not first impressions, but first impressions of this locomotive. Yeah, it's the glossy finish. I do like the die cast. The fact that it's die cast, I do love it when a model train is completely made out of die cast, because you know this thing's going to be durable, and that the extra weight of the die cast body is going to make that this locomotive is really strong. So I have heard stories from other people who have this same locomotive, that this thing can pull, you know, like a real big boy. Even more so than their Genesis Challenger, which already is able to pull trains very similar to that of the real life big boy. So, alrighty, there's much detail to probably cover on this big locomotive, so I will get right to it. So, the Union Pacific Big Boys were first produced in 1941, primarily to haul heavy freight trains up the Wasatch Mountain Range, steep gradients, that sort of thing. Interesting little story about how the Big Boys got their name is, well, they were originally going to actually be called Wasatches rather than Big Boys because of the mountain range that they were supposed to haul trains over. But one shop worker, out of his curiosity, probably during the building phase, he never seen a locomotive like the Big Boy. And so, you know, he just randomly wrote in chalk Big Boy on the locomotive because it was a big boy to them. And the name, as far as I'm aware, just kind of stuck and it became official. And so instead of these locomotives being called UP Wasatches, they ended up becoming UP Big Boys. As for my particular example, 4014, as most, if not everybody is aware, 4014 is one of 8 preserved Big Boys out of the original 25 that were built. They last ran in 1962. 4014 herself stuck around in service until about 61, I believe, in like backup storage and such. But she was preserved, thankfully, and she was then chosen to be restored into operational condition to run excursions for the Union Pacific Steam program, which honestly they say it couldn't be done, and yet Union Pacific did it. But it's not 100% too surprising given that Union Pacific is a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and restoring such a big locomotive at a big expense is not really that much of a challenge to a company that has the resources and money to do it. But it's still impressive nonetheless, and it is still it's considered today the biggest operating steam locomotive in the world at the moment. And which, despite the name, compared to some other locomotives that were built here in the United States that are not just one-offs, the Union Pacific Big Boy is actually not the biggest, heaviest, or even strongest. The strongest locomotive title actually goes to the Duluth, Mesabi, and Iron Range Yellowstones, which actually produce more horsepower than that of the Big Boy. Surprising. It's not the biggest or the longest, tender and engine included. I believe that title would either go to the Erie triplexes or the Santa Fe Class 3000, which was a very funky, which both of those engines had really funky wheel arrangements. The Class 3000 for the Santa Fe had a 2-10-10-2 wheel arrangement, very unusual. And then the triplex, hence the name, had 3 sets of driving axles, so it was a 2-8-8-8-2. So again, it's very, very weird, very, very unusual locomotives. And the heaviest locomotive is reportedly not the Big Boy, but it's also reportedly the Chesapeake and Ohio H8s 2666 locomotives, aka Alleghenies, which I do actually have a model of in HO scale, and I have featured that locomotive on the channel before. But 4014, again, she has been restored to operational condition. She runs excursions for the Union Pacific program, and like I think I mentioned earlier that the real 4014 should be pulling into Roseville, California very soon at the date of this recording. So diving into the detail, again, this thing is completely made out of die-cast metal. Starting from the pilot, you got a nice metal pilot. You also have it where you can fold out to reveal a dummy coupler, but again, that extra coupler that we saw in the bag earlier, you can swap that out for an operational coupler. This is just a dummy coupler if you want to say double head, although given the thing's pulling power or alleged pulling power that I hear, you're definitely not going to need to double head unless you want to pull off some sort of double header excursion, because this locomotive is just an absolute beast. You got etched grills right here. You got a coupler cut lever up here on the front pilot. You got the nice shield with the 4014 clear lettering on such a small piece. You love to see it. The headlight here with sideboards right here. These handrails, just touch that. Yeah, they're all actual metal wiring. They're not plastic in any way, shape, or form. Given the things, I mean, I would expect that. Anybody would expect that for a locomotive with such a high price tag. So, metal bell moves slightly. Obviously, it's not motorized. God, the day I see a steam locomotive in HO scale with a motorized bell like you would see in O scale, I will 100% buy that. Number plates on the front here, marker lights on the boiler front here, again more separately applied detail. Moving down to the trucks, you got nice shiny wheels here. All the running gear is nice metal parts separately applied. The drivers look very nice and such. Even the running plate is a nice piece of metal. The whole entire boiler is metal. You got the safety valves here. Got the whistle right here. So the whistle, again, has a smoking effect on it, as we will see later. So it has a little hole down here, where smoke, well, I would assume vent up through the whistle, giving it the illusion that smoke is coming out of the whistle, which is, again, probably the biggest reason why I bought this locomotive and not just went for the Athearn Genesis challenge, the Athearn Genesis Big Boy, which, no offense to it, I hear it's really good. It's a really good model. I've seen it in person because at least a friend or two of mine have one in their personal collections. Going back, second set of drivers, again, fairly similar metal detail, very nice whatsoever. Got these holes in here. I don't know what exactly that is all about. I don't know if that's like part of the boarded detail or whatnot, but you know, it looks nice. And then we go back here. This is a pilot truck. You can see 4014, nicely done. Back here. In fact, I'm gonna move the camera slightly just so you can see, because this thing is so big you can't really see it. Unlike my previous videos, I wouldn't normally move the camera around, but this is just such a big locomotive that you can't really get it all in one shot. So starting for the cab here, we got 4014 and all its lettering detail, very nice, very legible. You got nice cab detail. The windows don't open, but that's fine. Does this hatch open? Oh my gosh, it does. There we go. I guess we can pop this open and close. Very nice. Nice little detail. There we go. And then we got the plate in the middle, is a step plate. It's not the same height as the tender floor, but I don't know if that's intentional or not. Got painted crew figures I can see. And then got much lettering and rivet detail on the tender. Again, this whole entire thing is made out of die cast. It's really shiny, and I really am liking the separately applied detail and all the die cast molding. That is gone here. Moving back to the tender, we have a red marker light on top. We got the regular headlights and class lights. I don't know if any of these class lights light up. JK, I do. More detail, and you can see the little writing on the back here, the step ladders and all that fine detail. Alrighty, enough about the detail. It's time to get into the sounds and lights and smoke feature, so I will get that in just a sec. Okie dokie, I'm gonna go ahead and apply track power to the layout. Don't mind the fan in the background, that is just keeping my MRC Prodigy Advanced to cool. Just so it doesn't overheat. So I kind of changed up my layout a bit in that it's separated as far as how it's powered, because I always had the issue of powering such a big layout. And so how I have it now is I have a power booster that I wasn't able to figure out how to use, but I finally figured out how to use it. And so I have it connected to 2 of the 3 loops because it's more powerful than the controller itself. And then I have the controller plugged in and hooked up to the one outer loop, which has the big boy on it. So let's see. First up, I think, okay, yes, I have to move this for some reason in order for the sound to go off. So give me a sec. There we go. And then, as you can see, nice startup. And then the cab interior is lighted, very nice. Yeah, I did turn that on, so let me scoot the camera over so you can kind of see and zoom in. Oh, the smoke feature is already going off. Let's go. So starting from the front, looks like we have a nice little light feature. Wow, the marker lights light up, as well as the number boards, and as well as the headlight and the side number boards that you can also see. Again, that's a really nice feature that I really like, but I should probably be expecting something like this, again, with such an expensive model. Okay, I'm gonna zoom out. And yep, you can't really see it, but on the back of the tender, the marker lights actually do light up a sort of red and green. I'm gonna throw the locomotive in reverse real quick to see how the headlights on the back of the tender. Yep, it turns on, it works. Cool beans. I'm just gonna reposition this so you can get a better view of this locomotive and especially the smoke feature. So there we go. And then let's start off with F1 Zibel. I forgot that bell was a little loud, but very nice. F2, the whistle. Oh yeah, did I mention the smoke effect for the whistle? So every single time I blow the whistle, smoke comes out of the smoke comes through the whistle to give off the illusion that smoke is coming out of the whistle. I absolutely love that. It's probably my favorite feature on this locomotive. Oh, I love that so much. It's the reason why I bought this locomotive and forked over a fortune for it. I'm in love. Alright, F3, doesn't look like that does anything. F4, nope. Let's see here, F5. Is that like a dynamo effect or something? F6. No. Okay. Well. So, as far as the smoke unit is concerned, it is usually good for a good amount of time, and then typically you want to put about 3 to 4 drops of smoke fluid when the smoke becomes really thin. So, oh, one more thing. I should also mention that your big boy does come with this little funnel for the smoke fluid. So you just stick it down in there, and then you can put drops of smoke fluid. This locomotive does not come with a thing of smoke fluid. You do have to buy that separately. However, I can say from when I initially ran this locomotive, when I initially bought it, it already has smoke in the unit, so it will smoke like this straight out of the box. But as far as smoke unit is concerned, you can use almost whatever, BLI, smoke fluid, but I would personally recommend JT's Mega Smoke. Smoke, really good smoke. Alrighty. So, another smoke feature is obviously, of course, the chuffing, synchronized smoke with the sound and obviously the movement of the locomotive, not just the whistle, which I can't stress is my most favorite feature. So I'm gonna move this locomotive forward really slowly, just so you can kind of see the synchronized chuffing. Beautiful. It's nice thick smoke too. Okay, now I'm going to bring her back. And with that, thank you so much for watching, and I will leave you guys with a run by. Real quick before I go, I should mention, well, I've mentioned before, the pulling power of this thing is just awesome, and I can say that I have pulled a heavy train behind this locomotive before. 40 cars. I've hauled a 40-car train with this locomotive unassisted around my layout before, and it did it like a champ. I didn't have to go at high speed in order to get the train going. It just pulled it, no problem. I have heard stories and legends of other people who have this locomotive say they have been able to pull 100-car trains with this locomotive unassisted on a club layout. I can't confirm or deny if that is true, but honestly, with this locomotive, I would not be 100% surprised if it was true. So, thank you all again for watching. Enjoy the run by, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.